Hey Shaby, it's Dr. Scott. So I have some feedback for you on your visual analysis draft. Quick reminder for this assignment, I'm looking at a thesis statement, whether or not you've got an argument about two flood wall murals. That argument should be clear, it should be focused, it should have good supporting reasons, and when I think of supporting reasons, I think of the body paragraphs. Are the body paragraphs helping you prove that argument or helping you support that argument? Looking for your use of supporting details, whether or not you're using strong, concrete details from the murals to back up your argument. I'm also looking for organization and transitions. Are you placing ideas in a way that makes sense? Is it purposeful? I'm also looking for a couple paraphrases to be integrated into your writing, and then I'm also looking for MLA formatting, a visual inserted into the end of the draft, or I'm sorry, into the revision, and a paragraph without be verbs. So, to be 100% here, I think where we need to talk is about the paper's overall argument. I don't think it helps too much to talk about organization right now. I think some rewriting needs to happen, and I think you need to kind of figure out exactly what is your argument. So I read through your essay, and it was difficult for me in places to understand what the paper's overall argument was about. Like, you chose two murals, and it seemed like you're just kind of writing about the positives with the murals overall, and in some places, like, here's what I liked about the 1937 flood mural, and here's a little bit of what I liked about the steel mill. I think there's one thing that you kind of mentioned several times in your essay, and like, you don't make the essay about it, but I kind of think you should. And here it is. It's on the second page, actually, right here. When I look at the flood mural, I feel some of the pain the resident of the 1937 must had. The flood painting is a very touching painting. Okay, so I'm thinking about emotion, and maybe what your paper is a paper about how two murals get across an emotion, or how they get across emotion generally. And so pain, anger, maybe not anger, but pain, loss, sadness. I definitely see that in the 1937 flood mural, and they do it in different ways. So, like, I mean, you mentioned faces. I see that down here. So the way that people are looking, like, just, you know, the facial expressions, or maybe how the colors are used. Definitely in that 1937 flood mural, there's their use of color is really kind of fascinating there. I think that has some legs. I think you could write an entire essay about, all right, here's how these two murals, I think the murals do a good job of conveying emotion, and I think they do that through blank and blank, or blank, blank, and blank. That blankety blank, like, you need to figure out what that is. Facial expressions, that could be one thing. It could be colors, it could be shading. I mean, it could be a number of different ways that they go about it. But I think you need to figure out, like, if you decide to go down that route, the emotion route, like, you need to figure out, okay, how do they get emotion across? If you decide to write about something else, like, maybe it's not emotion, maybe it's like, I think the murals are saying something about how proud we should be of our town. All right, how did they get that idea of pride across? That how, that becomes your body paragraph. So I would see a body paragraph if you did the first option, which is the, if you want to write about emotion, facial expressions. There should be a paragraph about that where you're talking about both murals. If that did not make sense, well, you need to let me know, because that's a big issue in revising this essay and getting it where it needs to be. The second thing to kind of go along with that is, if you do decide to write about emotion, I don't know if you picked the right murals for it. I think the 1937 flood mural totally works. Absolutely works. There's a lot going on in that. But if you're writing about the industry mural, it's going to be hard time. You're going to have a hard time writing about emotion when you don't see a lot of people in the mural, because emotions are about people. I mean, you can talk. I guess you can talk about, like, pride that we were supposed to have, Look at these great buildings. Look at like what Mitchell Lace used to look like. Maybe there's something going on there, but when you're talking about pride or talking about emotions, you're talking about things that people feel, and you need to see people in order to write about the emotions that they're trying to evoke. Well, at least it's a lot easier to do that. So I'd recommend rethinking the murals that you choose. 1937 flood totally works. Don't know about the steel mill though. You might want to think on that one. So that's really kind of where I think the essay is at right now. I'm going to bring in a graphic over here, or not a graphic, but another. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that. So here's kind of where I think you are right now with the essay. I think you need to clarify the paper's argument. What are you going to argue in this essay? And you need to think about whether or not the two murals that you've chosen help you do that. Once you've figured out like what it is you want to argue, like maybe you think the two murals, these two murals, the 1937 flood mural and this other mural, they do an excellent job of getting across emotion. Cool, great. Then go to step 2 here. How do the murals get that idea across? When you're able to answer that, those are the ideas for your body paragraphs. One way that I think they get emotion across is through the use of color. You've got a paragraph about color now. I hope that makes sense. I think because you have a ways to go, I highly recommend you check out this screencast, you jot some questions down, and you chat with me Monday or Tuesday. And then you do some writing and revising, and you check in with me again Thursday or Friday. Don't let this slide. I don't want you getting too far behind because we have that third essay that's going to be coming up, and it's a tough one. It's a really tough one. This is a tough assignment too, but I don't want you getting too far behind. So check this feedback out, think about it a bit, and prepare to ask me some questions next week, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this revision goes. All right, Shaby, that's it for now.